Don't forget to back the blue, ladies and gentlemen. That way, when you quote the Bible in public, as is your First Amendment right, you'll be arrested. Yeah, I'm rather shocked by this story. As many of you know, I am, I guess, what did Josie say? Deist. Is that what the word is? I believe in God, but I don't follow any organized religion. Much like the founding fathers, she says. Many of them, of course, Christian. Quoting the Bible in public gets Christian arrested, and it's all on camera. Back the blue, baby. Yep. You see, this guy was across from a pride rally, and he was yelling things about sinning. You're allowed to do that. And a cop got mad and actually arrested him. And it is all on camera. Here we go. Let me play this video. This is from YouTube. This is a YouTube video from Barely Preacher Man. And let me just play for you, and then we'll talk about it. Let me make sure I have the audio channel. I always screw up the audio channel. Everybody who watches my videos, they're like, oh, he's going to make the audio channels wrong.
This cop's going to give him a hard time.
So the preacher is saying this is public property. He said this is public property. The cop says something about being respectful. The preacher tells the cop, you do you, I'll do me. This is public property.
God is not.
God is not, and the cop walks right up. There you go. Grabs him right away, puts his hands behind his back.
Can I give him my bag? All the stuff's in. Yo, I'm gonna need you to.
Preacher asks if he can give his bag. Cop says no. It's coming with you. All of these cops, 3 cops, 2 ladies, 1 guy, arresting a dude for standing across the street from a pride event, and they're clapping as he's getting arrested.
I'm watching this.
And there it is. So again, don't forget to back the blue, baby. And there they go.
God bless you, brother.
And the crazy thing is they're leaving his backpack hanging from his cuffed hands.
It's also my honor to thank you for making history with us today as we celebrate the first.
This is an unjust arrest. We have it on film.
Not only the city of Gray.
There you go. So here's the story. A man has been detained by the cops at a Pennsylvania Pride event after arriving with a sign explaining that Jesus said, "Go and sin no more," and it's all on video. The report comes from Barely Preacher Man. He says, today as our family was driving out of Reading for a family adventure, we saw there was a Pride rally at the City Hall building in Reading City. Is it Reading or Reading? I don't know. I saw 2 Christian protesters out there, so I pulled over. I pulled us over and I came out to support and encourage them. I preached for 10 minutes or so until a tyrant cop laid hands on me and threatened to arrest me if I continued. 10 minutes later, another Christian protester came out. He stood his ground against the cop and got arrested as shown in the clip. Most of the attendants, drag queens and children, had come from out of town. Either, is it Lancaster? I think it's Lancaster, or as far away as New York. The locals in Reading were not out in droves. The gospel went out, but it got pretty rough pretty quickly. Didn't have my GoPro or anything because I had no idea what was going on today. Just the providence of God that we drove by it. On the video by Barely Preacher Man, he's watching and filming the Gay Fest, talking about his own experience. The additional protester then arrives with a sign. There's a brief exchange between him and the officer, who turns away, only to a few seconds later charge the man, rip his hands behind his back, and cuff him. A report from WFMZ noted the Pride events, including the rally at City Hall and a march that ended at City Park, where there was a picnic, performances, and speeches. There was no mention of the cops' attack on the speech of protesters. Social media commenters were not nice to the officer. I guess the First Amendment really means nothing in Reading. These police officers were expressing their disapproval of the gospel while wearing a badge and a gun. Shameful. This was an unlawful arrest. Everyone has a right to freedom of speech. I'm not even a Christian, but this was wrong. The Lancaster Patriot identified the man who was arrested as Damon Atkins and confirmed it took less than 60 seconds of standing on the sidewalk for him to be handcuffed for quoting a portion of a Bible verse. Matthew Ware was making the video and told the publication police also had warned him from preaching. The officer was identified as Sergeant Bradley T. McClure. Atkins told the Lancaster Patriot that he was going to quote a portion of 1 Corinthians 14:33. God is not the author of confusion, but did not finish the quote because he stopped when he was handcuffed by McClure. McClure claimed Atkins was carrying a sign with a slogan written on it that showed his opposition of the event. And McClure also claimed Atkins was yelling at people across the street, and he was. I immediately approached him and told him that while he was free to stand on that side of the street and hold his sign, he could not cross the street nor yell comments intended to disrupt the event. Yes, you can. That's called protesting. The report noted that the video does not show Atkins agreeing to remain silent, and Atkins told the Lancaster Patriot that he never agreed to McClure's instructions. Police claimed that he had the intent to cause substantial public inconvenience, annoyance, or alarm, or recklessly creating a risk thereof. He engages in fighting or threatening or in violent or tumultuous behavior. Atkins explained to the publication he was cited for derogatory comments, but in reality, he was quoting the Bible. Now in this country, God is a derogatory term, Atkins told the Lancaster Patriot. That makes me sick to my stomach. Amazing. So again, I ask you, back the blue. Look, not every cop is the same. All right. Different cops do different things. And this cop clearly is ideologically captured. He is a part of the cult. And I can tell you that definitively. Why? You don't have to be a Christian to recognize the right of someone to preach. You don't have to be a Christian to recognize the right of someone to stand on a sidewalk and protest. Now, if someone's on the sidewalk and they're screaming obscenities and random things, well, then I think it's reasonable to say, hey, but even then, you still have very dangerous First Amendment. You're on dangerous First Amendment grounds if someone is just cussing and you try to stop them. They're allowed to speak and protest, and they can easily make an argument that their cussing is a protest. You're allowed to do it. The First Amendment not only protects the right to peaceably assemble, but the right to practice your religion. And here we are seeing both components, or we're seeing two components of this violated outright by these cops. There you have it. Here's what I think. I think this cop likely is a supporter of the Pride stuff. 100%. There's a lot of money going into this. Look at this truck back here, this van or whatever, with the paint job for the Pride colors or whatever. And Germany, I guess. I don't know what these colors are on the back. The German flag or something like that. But yeah, it's plain as day. I think this cop is probably ideologically captured, is probably on board with this, and now the institutional power is being wielded against you, as I stated would happen. And it will get worse. You'll see more of this. The cops will come to your house, knock on the door, and say, you said naughty words, so you're coming with us. And you'll be like, what? You tweeted something bad. Look at what happens in the UK and in Europe. You post something on social media, they come to your house and they arrest you. It will happen here. You tell me it can't because we have a First Amendment? Tell it to this guy. Sure, maybe he'll sue. Maybe he will win. But the procedure is the punishment. So they'll say, oh, we let him go. He was cited and then he ended up winning in court. Yeah, they still locked you up. They still stopped your protest. They will be able to shut down your speech and then just say, good faith, whoopsie. Unless people start speaking out and saying no to this. Because you have a right to hold a sign and preach whatever you want on the sidewalk. You have a right to protest. There are questions about disturbing the peace. Fine, fair point. But this ain't it. This was a political ideological rally. And a person came up to oppose that and got arrested for it. If you're an atheist, secular, traditional liberal, or classical liberal, or whatever, this should be shocking and terrifying to you. Because first they'll come for the Christians who are speaking out in opposition to what these people are doing. Next, they'll come for you. And they'll come for you even if you don't say anything. You'll simply not put up the black square on your Instagram profile. I'm going to come to your house and knock and say, is there a reason why you're not participating? I mean, we're really concerned that you're not being involved in what the community is trying to accomplish here. And you'll say, yeah, look, I don't know anything about it. And they'll be like, why don't you come down? Why don't you come with us? Why don't you step outside? Just come. No, put your hands, turn around. Just stop. Don't stop resisting. And then they'll take you. And a lot of people say, no, come on. That's a little extreme, isn't it? No, because that's what they did in the Soviet Union. They would disappear you even if you did nothing. The story I heard from a friend, there were two apartments. The neighbors didn't like each other. So one neighbor called the Communist Party and said that the neighbor was bad-mouthing the party and they're scared. And the next day, the apartment was completely cleaned out. Everything was gone. The person didn't do anything. One day they woke up and knocked on the door. I'm like, can I help you? And they're like, you're under arrest. For what? For bad mouthing the party. I didn't say anything. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. And it will happen here unless we stand up and say no. Don't back the blue. Not when they do this. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up tonight at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimcastIRL. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.